Hey everybody, back with another video. I don't know if I'm gonna hate pole positions after this, but this is my upright pole position from downstairs. I had never cleaned it too much, but I did work on the pedal. And my cockpit needs a pedal. So I saw a couple pole positions for sale. This one, pole position 2, but I think it came with a pole position 1 board. Got this from Smokinator. The cabinet is in pretty decent shape minus the front right there. So that's one. Looks like got a little bit of a cracked gear shift cover. Pole position 2 marquee and bezel. This one here I picked up, it's empty, no marquee, pole position 2 bezel. Missing the select your track on the front, and that also has broken, but it has a coin door. And then this one here, pole position 1, marquees there, steering wheel's real filthy, no coin door, but it has a pedal. One of these two is going to be a donor cab that I'm going to kind of screw around with. And let's see, this has pole position burn on it. I don't know if you can see it. No, this one does not have pole position burn on it. Where'd that come from? Oh, that's my pole position monitor. That one there has pole position burn on it, pole position 2. No monitor, but I have an extra monitor. So blah, 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 blah. I'm going to try to fix up 3. My one that was downstairs has this side art is ripped up. But the cabinet's solid, it's not broken at all. I don't know, maybe I should do an overview of each one. This one here, the second pole position 2, has jacked up rear corners. I think the front corners are bad too. So this might be my donor cab. And this one here has no T-molding, but honestly it's not in terrible shape. Says upright 2449. This one here is upright 1945. This one is 10,011. And then I think, what's mine? (1614) stamped right there. 1614, yeah. Anyway, I'm rambling on a little bit, but I am going to start pulling these apart and trying to put 3 pole positions back together. Alright, I think this one is going to be my donor cab. It's not that bad side art wise, but they got this on here, so I know this front corner is jacked up. I can see it right down there. I need a part off the pedal. It has this metal mesh front, whereas if you see on this pole position 2 from Smokinator, it's just a piece of wood. So I have to replace that somehow. On the back of this thing, again, this is upright 1945. Oh, see, it's like a little more waterlogged on the back side. Does have a little cutout for a fan, but it looks pretty bad on the inside. I mean, fan's very dirty. There's the little box rigged up there, and it does have the harness, but there's definitely looks like there was some critters living in here. I'm just going to take everything out of it and make a final decision, but the back sides right there is really tore up. There's no rear wheels on it. That's part of the problem. So I'm just going to clean all this out and then get the cabinet empty. Alright, making some good progress. One thing is, I mean, this is definitely looks like it was original or maybe not original to the cabinet, but original when they put it in, because it's stapled here. The folds look correct. It's slanted. If you can see that, it's kind of like cone shaped. It's going from bigger to smaller at the back. So I thought that was interesting. Let's see here. The other thing is, this is actually screwed in from the bottom right there. If you can see that, because my camera went crazy. So I'd never seen that before. It's kind of slid in like that. Maybe all pole positions are like that. I just never noticed it. Maybe I never looked at the marquee. We got a speaker there, speaker down there. And one thing is, the gear shift action is very solid on this one. So I'm curious to get this out and compare it, because it's, you know, it's very solid, you know, when you switch down. Same with mine. You know, it's very solid, not moving around a lot like that. Let's check this other one here real quick. This one seems, see how it's a lot looser? And it's, you know, it doesn't have that distinct like throw down. It almost seems like something's broken inside, or it's just worn out. I'm not sure. So that one's kind of interesting. And this one here seems pretty decent, but it's stiff, maybe a little bit too stiff. So I just found that interesting, showing interesting things. All right, I got that cardboard air duct, I guess, out, but it is filthy. I mean, look at all that dust that's at the back of it. So I don't know how that maybe it was good initially, but that looks terrible as far as dust collection there. So it was probably sucking dust up from the bottom and then collecting it there. I wonder what these boards look like. One thing is the harness actually looks really good. It's not hacked at all, and you can see the power connectors right there. Hopefully they look really good. Nice gold connectors there. And yeah, that marquee light is definitely unique to this cabinet, where it screws in from the bottom, and it was like that from the factory. This is what it looks like right here. Whoops. Looks like that. I had not seen that before. See everything else. Steering wheel's out. Gonna get this, what is that, a cowl or something? Gonna get this off. It's in pretty good shape actually, minus the sticker, so somebody will be able to use that, or I might offer this cabinet up. Alright, this cabinet is pretty much empty, but after I took out, I think it's called a cowl, I'm not sure, but I just took my screwdriver. There's a little trench right here where it sits in, and look, there's sunflower seed right there. And it's kind of gross. I don't even know if I'm keeping this. I'm kind of tempted. The only reason that bottom is chewed up is because it's missing a leg leveler down in that right rear. There's no leg leveler down there. So I'm gonna still clean this out just to see what we're looking at, and I haven't made up my mind whether I want to take off this front piece here. Only has one lockout hole, and then put it on this cabinet here that has the damage in the front, and it has a few more holes in the front too. So it's got a couple holes there. It's got that damage down there. So I might just take the front off of this if I can, and stick it on the other one. So we'll see. All right, because I need to set goals. This is which one is this? Pole position 1, upright 2449. That's what the inside looks like. You know, it's dirty, no T molding, but as I showed before, most of the corners are all intact and everything, and the side art is pretty much intact. So I think this is going to clean up pretty well, and I'm going to make this a pole position one. So I'm going to clean it, get the sides going, try to clean up the pedal as best I can. The dashboard, I was calling it a cowl, but whatever. The dashboard is in pretty good shape. I just need to clean it up and clean the steering wheel and stuff, and then actually get the board back in it. So this one is, I'm just going to do as little as possible to the cabinet and just put it back together. So not filming that process, but I will show you first piece of information that I got to correct myself on. It does look like that is standard. The reason I didn't notice the drill holes is because that's typically covered up by the lower marquee bracket holder. So I guess this little shelf is how they did the fluorescent light and speaker for a pole position. So that does seem normal. I wonder if this is just faded or if it's supposed to be darker down here. That was somewhat interrupted. Anyway, yeah, I'm not sure about the fading on that, whether the top is supposed to be lighter orange and then it's darker orange. I would think that that's probably fading, and maybe that's why I think Phoenix Arcade makes a reproduction or something. Obviously, I'm not worried about it. For this one, I'm just going to pick the best glass that I have out of all of them. But got the cabinet cleaned out, blown out, and I'm starting to use some magic eraser on it. There is some yellowing. I don't know if it's nicotine stains or whatever up here in the white area. It's a little dirty and kind of streaky. But I'll see if I can brighten those whites up. I don't know what's that little bit of silver there looks weird, but overall, I mean, it's cleaned up pretty good so far. Like that. Leg levelers and cleaning the bottom of the cabinet. Let's see here. Most of these are not rusted, which is great, but that bottom one is. Hopefully I can save it. But I'm going to put some new leg levelers on and just give the bottom kind of a good cleaning, if you will. So as best I can anyway. But this one I'm just going to put T-molding on. I'm not going to spend a lot of time trying to fix every little detail. It's just like bumps and bruises, whatever. I'm putting it back together because it's in good enough shape. It's presentable shape, so in my opinion. All right, I got T-molding on one side, leg levelers replaced. I did clean this up. I didn't sand it. I could have sanded it. Right here, that dark spot is probably from some moisture that was there, but also from my PB blaster. I was trying to get some PB blaster in there, so it might have soaked into the wood a little bit. It's starting to loosen up a little bit, but I might not be able to save that T-nut, so might have to do something else there. Not sure. It sucks because you can't get to this from the other side. It's like, I don't know where that thing goes, but it's not inside the cabinet. It's like into, like where the, let's see if you can see that, into the, where the pedal area goes. So anyway, I just want to show the cabinet pre-cleaning. Pre-cleaning this side, get the magic eraser out and try to get it as good as I can get it. And then some T-molding, and then the inside. Fun times. All right, I got, still working on that leg leveler, but T-molding's on, and it's cleaned up. I mean, again, it's not perfect. I could go to town on it a little bit more actually, but looking pretty decent. I think I'll just probably lay it on its back and clean all the front and stuff like that, and then clean the inside. And then hopefully we'll get ready to start putting stuff back together. I took that speaker out of the other pole position, that my donor cabin. You see how much dust collects at the bottom? You gotta remove these speakers and clean them out and stuff, or replace them. Alright, got everything cleaned out here. Wiped it down pretty good. I mean, I could probably wipe it down one more time inside, but I used some like mean green type of stuff, got all the dust out. You know, it looks a lot better on the inside. Definitely smells better, pretty clean. All the monitor dust and off, and it's actually white, you know, on the white parts instead of brown and stuff like that. And just cleaning out the all of the internals here. The pedals are rusted. I need to de-rust those. One of the things is the steering wheel column. Look how it's mounted a little bit differently than this one here. This one's to the side. This one's facing straight down. And they're both looking like they're a little bent. That one's not too bad, but you can see the bow in this one. It's definitely bent out quite a bit. Need to clean the speakers, get those cleaned out or replaced. So just showing some progress. That one looks pretty bad. Might need to replace that one. Okay, disassembly time here. Gonna start disassembling the pedals. I already got the speakers cleaned up as best I could, and we'll disassemble. This isn't actually that bad. I probably don't even need to de-rust it. I might just use this one here. It doesn't look bad at all. Just clean it up, and it looks actually pretty decent. The other one's really rusted, so I will disassemble that one and paint it and stuff, and then take all this stuff off here. This has a complete bezel that's not cracked, so I'm definitely going to use that. Probably disassemble both gear shifters and kind of see what's going on inside of them, because this one is cracked. As you can see here, the bezel. And I think Milestar is doing some reproductions of the bezel, but there's also cracks on the inside on this one. And a lot of times there are cracks there, so I'm not sure about that. That's pretty much it, though. Just disassembling stuff and cleaning. Alright, I moved some of the gear shifts down to the bottom. I mean, down to the bottom, down to the basement. You can see how the bezel is cracked. I got some replacements from Milestar. This right here is missing some pieces. Actually, let me hook this up here. You can see, hopefully right here. Okay, so this one here is pretty stiff. You know what I mean? It's like, I can't even, I have to really put some force into moving it. This one was out of the pole position too, and you can see I can just barely touch it and it moves. I'm curious to see what this one looks like on the inside. This one here is very distinct. I think I mentioned that before. But there's different parts that are cracked and stuff. Like this one actually looks pretty good. You can only see the seam on the half part. This one looks like there's a little bit of a crack right here. Then obviously this part I'm going to try to glue back. That's cracked. So anyway, I'm going to take these apart. I don't know how much I'm going to film. I'm going to take this one off. Let me put this upside down so you can kind of see it. There's a little metal bracket spacer underneath, and so you unscrew these 4 screws, and then it just kind of comes out. But this one has a nice bezel, so this bezel's fine. Alright, so that's what I'm doing. Right, this is actually kind of interesting. This is the loose one, and it only had 5 screws in it. So you have to undo 6 screws, as you can see here. And then the case kind of splits apart like that. And there's a ball bearing in the bottom that basically rolls over this actuator here, and it sits in the bottom of this, which is all gunked up, and there's a spring there. So I don't know, that could be part of the problem, but more likely it's actually the wear from the ball on the plastic, I bet. So this indentation here is probably wearing more, which is making it, or it could be the spring, I don't know. Then there's the ball bearing, so you kind of like move the ball bearing over, and then it actuates the actuator. See? But the switch is obviously usually pushing back on it. And there's like that little trench there. So anyway, I'm going to clean these parts. I mean, this ball could get worn. There's nothing you can do about it if that ball's worn right there. But look at that. It is gunked up. So that's that's one. And then to take it off, I'll just disassemble one real quick live. So yeah, what is it? 1/4 inch. See, this one had all the screws. So the fact that one was missing a screw seemed like maybe it was already taken apart before. It does have a spot for 2 switches, so you could actually have 2 switches and 2 actuators. There's another spot for another actuator right there, but in pole position you only need 1. I don't know why you would have, I guess if in case you wanted to have a neutral, I guess, I don't know. Figures I'd drop that. Let's just look at what this one looks like. See, this one's got that crack in it. But look at the spring. See how the spring was sticking out more? And I bet that's giving it more resistance, pushing up on the ball or something like that, and giving it more resistance, I bet. You can see that right there. And there's my little ball bearing. So I'm going to clean those and then take the other one out, and then I'll come back. Alright, when I went to take out the spring from the worse off one, I actually can tell the spring is busted. As you can see there, hopefully. See that? It's definitely gunked up, but it's also broken. So that's bad news. And also it looks like the entire end is damaged. You can see that. It's like deformed compared to this one, where it has a nice little beveled edge all the way around, as you can see there. So this thing is jacked up. That's no good. We can't reuse that as an example. So well, maybe I could sell it on eBay like it's working. No, I'm just kidding. Anyway, I'm gonna clean it up and just see how good we can get it, and also just look to see if I notice any other odd wear patterns, because it is plastic on plastic, so you would expect some looseness there. So I could try like this unit inside this case up here. This unit, this stick inside this case, it might be fine. This is the better case over here. That's the worst case. See if I can try to keep those separate. A lot of gunk on it. This spring, obviously, out of the good one, is completely intact and looks good. So let me get all that stuff out of there. Alright, to degrease this, these springs and ball bearings and stuff, I already cleaned up these pretty decent. I don't know if I'm really able to tell the difference. This one has a big gouge in it. Excuse me, as you can see there. I found that kind of interesting. The other ones don't have that. So I'll probably not use... Well, this one does have a little bit of one. Is this one? That's just where the ball was. Maybe that's normal. Just scratch that. Alright, so let's get this mineral spirits in here. If I can open that damn thing. And then I'm going to use a Q-tip and get inside of that and clean all that up. I'll probably have to read the directions. Got my junky sweatshirt on. This one I'm not going to do it. I'm just going to have to throw this thing away. Because there's no, I mean, it's jacked up, that end there. And I'm missing a spring, so not going to be able to save that one. This one looks good. Kind of hard to see in there. Need to get all that cleaned out and stuff. I did get one with an intact bezel, and then here's the reproduction bezels from Milestar as well. Look pretty darn close, if not perfect. So got that. Clean some stuff up. Alright, just to show what I'm doing here, I'm just dipping it in the mineral spirits and then kind of sticking my Q-tip in there. Now this one I'm not keeping anyway, so I didn't really need to clean it. I was just wanted to show you like how much junk is coming out of there. Just like that. Cleaning these are a bigger pain in the butt than I thought. Where's my thing? I already cleaned this one, which is actually broken, so waste of time, but you can see on the inside there, this one was so dirty that the second hole was just completely filled with gunk and stuff. So I just again get a Q-tip, little mineral spirits, and then come in here and kind of just get in here. You can see all that old grease and stuff. I don't know. I'm gonna have to read the directions to see if grease is supposed to be in there. That's either grease or it's just gunk, dirt and stuff. This one isn't actually that bad. The other one was really bad. Yeah, see, it's kind of gunked up in there as well. Yeah, there's so much stuff in there. That hole should not be closed. It doesn't matter that it's closed, but that's just showing you like how much hard stuff is in there. I have to soften it up with some mineral spirits to get it out of there. So, just going to town on that. I'm not going to film the whole thing, but going to town trying to clean out the inside. And then I'll read the manual to see what kind of grease or maybe white lithium grease or something like that to make the spring and ball roll decently, I guess. Well, I'm making a mess, and like always, going down rabbit holes here. This does come into 3 pieces. You can actually take out the indent, whatever part of the actuator, like it's called the indent. You can see there. So I can actually take these apart and kind of figure out which parts are the best, so I can assemble 2 good ones. It fits in like that. So I'm going to wash these again and do a better job of washing all of them. I did super glue. No, that one's complete. Which one did I super glue? This one right here. So I super glued that back. It's obviously not great. But I don't even need to use that because I can take those 2 shells, and I don't know, I'm going to look at the wear pattern right here, but I doubt it's that big of a deal. I did notice, I'm just, test fitting these together, like without any lubrication, this one is working pretty good. I need to lubricate it a little bit more. But then I did notice this ball right here has a significant amount of rust. So if I was going to use that ball bearing, I would need to de-rust it. And let's go ahead and just test fit this real quick. With no lubrication here yet, so there we go. That feels pretty decent. It's a little, it requires some action to get it to go. And that's with no lubrication, obviously. So I'm going to wash them up, and I think we can get a couple good sticks out of here. Alright, I broke out the schematic here, and basically you have your bezel, you have your gear shifter, says do some lube on the ball right there, spring on the ball bearing. I think those are the only 2 places it calls for lube. Then you have your shift or detent, that's the part, shift detent. Hopefully I can hold this damn thing straight. And it says, the shift bezel is not part of the gear shifter assembly and must be purchased separately. Okay, interesting. For the lube, it says, see text for lubrication information. And down here for lubrication information, it says, to lubricate the gear shifter control assembly, open the control panel, remove the gear shifter control assembly using the procedure above. Apply a light-duty lubricant, such as Nyogel 779, every 6 months to the spherical part of the handle and the detent. So obviously this part doesn't have the oil can there, but it has the ball bearing. So the detent should have some lube. And so I did some research, and Milestar actually sells this on Clove, and he's sending me some. But I'm actually going to use some silicone. You could probably use some dielectric grease. I'm going to use on at least one of them before I get my Nyogel, some battery terminal protector, just so I can assemble one of them, because I don't want to wait. But the Nyogel, I'll link to a thread about what the viscosity is and stuff like that. It's definitely silicone grease, and it's light duty versus heavy duty, so you don't want something that's super high viscosity that's going to restrict the movement of the parts. So anyway, it's like I forget what they call it, dampening grease, I guess, but you want it to be light duty. So assembling these things back together, I took all the parts off. You can see this detent piece here has a very thick groove in it, so I'm actually going to put that to the side and use these. I might clean it up just a little bit more, but I got most of the grease out, and it's pretty decent as far as that goes, and it's not too deeply scarred as far as the groove goes. Here's another one. And I think the detent holes are roughly the same, but so I'm going to use those two. And I did reassemble and super glue this one back together. As you can see there, it's kind of like, looks like it's Frankenstein. But I'm going to keep it, but I'm not going to use this one. I think this is one I'm not going to use. I'm going to use this one here. That looks really good from a two-piece standpoint. And so then we're going to have to slide one of these in. Now it only goes in one direction because of this, I don't know, groove right there. You can just slide it in like that. And then you have to line this up as well. There we go. All right. Get in there, bad boy. There we go. And then it fits in there nice and tight. So I'm going to do some lubing. I'm de-rusting the ball bearings and stuff like that, so I'll be back. But we're going to apply some grease to this part here, to the ball bearing, and a little bit to this detent here. Or maybe I'll just put some in the detent right there. Detent. I don't even know if I gotta look that up. I mean, that's a weird word. Detent. Indentation, I guess. Detent. Kind of weird. Alright, be back. Alright, like I said, I'm just using some battery terminal protector. Smothered it on the ball. There. I put it in the detent. And now I just need to put my spring in. Slide it on top of that ball. Grab this thing. Well, that went in there smooth. Pretty nice. That's it. Now I'm going to use Nyogel on the other one. And it says to, change it out every 6 months. But I doubt any of us collectors are going to do that. But I like that. That's pretty nice. So I just wanted to put one together so I could get stuff assembled back. But Milestar is sending me some Nyogel 779, which I will use on that stick right there. And this stick is basically my jacked up one with the spring that was broken and rusted bearing and stuff like that. So that's just a parts thing right now. And here's the reproduction bezels from Milestar as well. And he purposely says use these screws. It looks like they're self-tapping, as you can see there. So you definitely want to, thread those carefully. I might film that as well. But that goes onto, once we put it back into the control panel. Alright, I got actually some Nyogel. It's been a few days. And I probably will be wrapping up this video because I want to make sure I get a video out once a week to make the video of the week. Who is it that did that? Overtime Arcade. I'm just messing around. But anyway, some Nyogel. So maybe I will obviously use a little bit of this in the detent. Obviously, we just watched me do this, but just to get a look at the kind of the viscosity difference, it is definitely different. It is thicker than
than the battery terminal grease that I use, this Nyogel. So I would recommend using the right thing, obviously. I'm just gonna, yeah, it's almost bouncy a little bit. I'm gonna spread that on the ball. I think I guess you need it on both the top and the bottom, I guess. But you're supposed to spread it around. And Milestar sent me that. I'll link to his in the video description. I'll link to his website and where you can buy the Nyogel 779. I also will link to a thread on Cloth where I posted some data sheets of the Nyogel and the viscosity rating. Like, I'm not going to go into the details, but this is like at 40 degrees Celsius, this is like a rating of 5,000 something CFM, I don't know, whatever. Some type of viscosity rating system. And it is definitely stickier and thicker than that battery terminal grease. It's fully silicone based, so it's not oil based at all. And that's man, it is definitely sticky. Let me wipe my hands real quick. Yes. So where was I at? I don't know. I need to put my ball bearing in there. Need to slide that into this thing. Hard for me to do this with them. I can't see what the heck I'm doing. There we go. And I need my spring. Damn it. Get my spring in here. And then the ball. Lay it in like that. There we go. Oh, wow. Listen to the difference. That is a little bit different. Yeah, that sounds different. You can definitely feel the difference between the Nyogel. See, listen. You can kind of hear that. Let me see. Yeah, you can't really hear that at all. Excuse me. That's kind of annoying for me to do that on camera, but yeah, the Nyogel definitely feels different. I'm gonna have to clean this one up. This one's a little bit. I don't think the looseness has anything to do with the Nyogel versus the other stuff I use. I think it has more likely to do with the detent, the spring tension, and other stuff like that. I do like the feel of that though. Oh, the other thing is, before you assemble it, obviously I forgot to put in the actuator, so I have to take it out and put the actuator pin in, and then you have to assemble it. So let me do that. You want to put the actuator pin in and then assemble, obviously. There we go. And now it will actuate. As you can see there. Yeah, feels good. I think how hard it is to shift is probably has to do with the spring, the ball bearing, and how much wear is in that detent maybe. But it's hard to tell. I mean, they're both pretty firm. This one's a little bit easier to operate, but I don't know. Seems maybe it is the same. All right. Anyway, that's it for this video, you guys. I'm going to put the screws in. 2 gear shifters. I do need to, in my next video, work on the steering. Disassemble that, clean up the steering wheels. I also put together most of the cabinet back together. Should I show that? Yeah, I'll show a quick shot of that.
The garage is getting full. I had to move a car into the garage. It's getting cold. But this is the one I was working on. Back there is the pole position 2. I actually sold this past weekend. I sold my original pole position that had the messed up side arch, so that one's gone, and the donor cab is in storage. And but I still need a few parts off of it. But anyway, most of it's back together. Marquee brackets are painted. I cleaned up the dash, but I kept the original dashboard on it, even though it has a ton of cigarette burn marks. It has a good decal. So I was kind of like, do I get a replacement decal for the other dash or work on it, or just keep this one original? So I'm just going to keep it like this, most likely. Painted the, need to paint the coin door, but I painted that part. Need to get some rivets to put the speaker grill back on. And let's see, can you see in here? Let me get a light. So yeah, so I have most of the wire harness in, 2 ARs that are tested. I might link to the AR replacements. I have a Matsushita monitor with very little burn ready to go. So just need to get a power brick and some minor things. I mean, I'm pretty close. And the control panel. So the steering control panel, next video will definitely have this one up and running. And I already sold one of them. So this one might be a keeper, or I might sell it. I'm not sure. So that's it, guys. Thanks for watching. Pole position craziness going on here at Jack Lick's Arcade. Cheers.